If you're a pessimist, the kind of person who just assumes the worst of any scenario, whatever the situation might be, then it is going to be having a profoundly negative impact on your dating life. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to start changing your belief systems in order to actually start helping you improve your dating life and actually have your mind working with you, not against you. My name is Ben Sterling. I'm one of the head coaches here at Social Freedom, where we help guys all around the world completely transform their dating lives to become the most attractive, charismatic, and confident versions of themselves. Now, if you like our shit, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you get notified every time we release new content. Leave a comment to appease the algorithm gods, and so more people are exposed to our content, just like the unwitting audience of a public masturbator on public transport. Anyways, back to the video. The reason why pessimism is so detrimental to your dating life is because you're literally looking at the world through a negative lens. This means that you yourself are going to be very sensitive to any negative information that you're given, but you're going to be very almost blind to positive information. So in terms of in your dating life, you're going to, for instance, be very sensitive to any small indicator of disinterest you're going to get from a girl, where at the same time, you might be completely blind to major indicators of interest you might be getting from girls. And this is one thing I see often with guys with low self-esteem. They might be given the biggest hints in the world from a girl that she likes you and she potentially wants things to go further, but then they talk themselves out of it because of maybe a couple of really minor, insignificant indicators of disinterest that she might be giving them. So it really does cause a lot of issues in guys' dating lives when they become blind to positive information. Now, the reason why many people are pessimistic, it's usually because of experiences from a young age. Maybe some form of social trauma, maybe they were outcast at times, bullied, they were lower in the social hierarchy. These are common reasons why people become more pessimistic, especially when it comes to dating. The problem is this then snowballs throughout their life, causing them to literally, again, be blind to positive information and sensitive to negative. We all like to think that we're very pragmatic and we are very logical when it comes to how we view the world. But the thing is, when you see the world through a pessimistic lens, you're literally blind to a lot of what is happening around you. You're only seeing a lot of the more negative things and, again, blind to the positive. This actually makes us have less of a objective view of reality than we like to think we do. Because another common theme when it comes to pessimistic people, they tend to be more intelligent as well. And intelligent people, again, like to think that they're very objective and pragmatic in the way that they see the world. They like to think that they are often right in their view of reality. But the problem is when you are so skewed to the negative, it often takes a profound experience to make them realize that they are actually very biased in their view of reality. And I'm going to get into a few examples that I went through in order to essentially make it clear to me that I was a pessimist and that my view of reality was actually incorrect. Now, this experience was actually reasonably recent. It was back in 2020, not long after lockdowns. And it's just such a great example of how our minds really fuck us when it comes to guys who are more naturally pessimistic. And I personally am a notorious pessimist. Because of this, it really has had a negative impact on my life, and I really have to remind myself over and over, and it's something I'm always working on improving. Okay, so this experience, it was with a girl who I met at a club, and she was really cute. We got along really well. We went back to mine and we ended up hooking up. And she spent the night, and I wanted to see her again because I thought she was really cool. We got along really well. So about 2 weeks later, we end up meeting up for a second date. And on this date, she's really cold. She's not really giving me much. She's not adding to the conversation too much. She's not asking me many questions back. And she even said not long into the date that she had to leave early, which she hadn't expressed before the date. So I'm there thinking, okay, she's making excuses to leave because she doesn't like me. She's being really cold and not really giving me much because she's not really into me, and I might have fucked things up. And I was in a bit of a negative headspace that day too. We end up going back to mine and we kiss, but she kind of pulled away first and it wasn't that passionate. So not long after that, she leaves. And after she left, I just assumed she fucking hated me. Like, I'm looking at this evidence, I'm like, okay, she left, she wanted to leave early, she didn't really kiss back much when we kissed, she was super cold on the date and kind of distant and wasn't really giving me much. She doesn't fucking like me. She doesn't want to see me again. So I ended up not actually messaging her back. Now, I just assumed that this girl didn't like me, and again, not everyone's gonna like everyone, so again, it just happens. Some people like you, some people don't, whatever. Alex, and I'm so glad Alex did this, but he sees her in the club about 6 months later, and he goes up to her and asks her, he's like, so why didn't you like Ben? Like, what happened? Like, why didn't you want to see him again? And she went, wait, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you know, you didn't try to see him again. She's like, well, Ben never texted me back. I really wanted to see him again, but I just assumed he wasn't interested. So what had actually happened is after Alex gets a bit more information out of her, she was actually really into me, but she herself was really anxious that day because it had been a really long time since she'd actually hooked up with someone. So she was feeling a bit of pressure on herself and a little bit anxious and really scared of my opinion of her on that day. And she herself was, funny enough, not feeling entitled, which ironically, I was not feeling entitled that day either. So, you know, two fucking pessimists on one date. But either way, the fact is, if I wasn't so sensitive to these indicators of disinterest and wasn't so damn pessimistic, I would have at least followed up with her and then found out, and I would have continued hooking up with her, and who knows what would have happened. But because of my pessimism, it fucked me up in terms of getting what I wanted. And the thing is, I like to think that I'm pragmatic in my view of the world, of reality, but I'm truly not. Because I'm a pessimist, I do not see reality for what it is. I see reality on a much more negative scale than what truly objectively is real. And that's the same with all pessimists. We like to think that we're logical. We like to think potentially, oh, I'm just preparing myself for the worst possible scenario. But let's be real. How often does the worst possible scenario ever happen? Pretty much never. And that's the point. We actually don't see what reality truly is. So I'm going to teach you how to actually change the way you think and start to actually see the world through a more real lens and stop looking at things so pessimistically. The first step in changing the lens that you see the world is to become aware of the fact that you are not a good judge of reality. You do not have an objective view of what truly is happening in front of you. You need to become aware of the fact that you are, by definition, more pessimistic in the way you see the world. And the fact that reality is more likely more positive on average than what you assume it is. Now, that's step number one, becoming aware of the fact that you don't see reality correctly. Okay, let go of the fact that you like to think that you have an objective view of reality. You do not. You don't see the world for what it truly is. Okay. Number two, you need to start becoming delusionally optimistic. And I mean delusionally. You need to start reframing everything to the positive. And that's because you spent so many years thinking so negatively in your assumptions of the world or whatever is happening in front of you that if you start being delusionally optimistic, you're probably more likely to be closer to what reality truly is than what you've been assuming in the past. So that's number two. And what I mean by delusionally reframing everything is, for instance, let's use social interactions as an example. Say you're talking to a girl and she's not making eye contact with you. Instead of thinking, oh, she's not making eye contact with me because I'm ugly and I'm not worthy, you think, oh, she's not holding eye contact with me because she's really shy and she has anxiety. Because that is actually more likely the truth than not. Okay, let's say she is not really giving you much. You're trying to start a conversation with this girl, she's giving you one-word responses. Instead of thinking, okay, like I'm not interesting enough or engaging enough for her to want to talk to me, instead think, she's just not entitled to me. I'm just too out of her league, so she's not even trying. And say she hasn't responded to your message for over 24 hours. Instead of thinking, I'm just not good enough, she just doesn't like me, I'm ugly, all these myriad of negative assumptions that are going to come into your pessimistic little head, you think, oh, she's just busy with uni. Of course she's going to get back to me. Amazing. When I say this, I know what's going through your head, but Ben, how am I going to audit what I'm doing? How am I going to improve as a person? Yes, if you get the exact same response over and over and over and over again, then yes, you might want to take a step back and think, okay, objectively, where might I be able to make improvements here? Where am I fucking up, etc. But on the scheme of things, I want you to start assuming the positive, because not only are you going to be much happier with these positive reframes, you're also going to be expressing yourself. If you start assuming the best out of any situation, you're going to start expressing yourself in a more attractive manner and in a way that is more likely to net you the exact desired outcome that you wanted in the first place. If you're going into an interaction and say you're talking to her and she isn't really giving you anything and you think, oh, she's reacting that way because I'm unattractive or because I'm not interesting or I'm not engaging, then you're going to start acting that way and you're more likely to manifest those negative assumptions. But if you start thinking, oh, she's just shy or she's not feeling entitled to me, you are more likely to then express the behaviors that are more likely to manifest the outcome that you desire. Do you understand? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more optimistic you are, the more likely you are to literally manifest your desired outcome through sheer assumption. And the same for if you're being pessimistic. Oh, you want more evidence to the fact that pessimism is being detrimental to your life? Well, there was actually a study done that pitted optimistic and pessimistic people against each other to see where they would end up in life. And the results of this study showed that yes, pessimistic people are more likely to end up correct more of the time. However, the people who were more optimistic always ended up closer to reaching their goals than pessimistic people. They also expressed much more fulfillment and satisfaction in life than pessimistic people. They also lived longer than pessimistic people. So the only difference here, was it their capabilities as a human being? Was it their intelligence? No, the only variable that was being looked at here is optimism and pessimism. That is how powerful of an impact it can have in your life. And the reason it works like this is because when you're pessimistic, again, as I said before, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, but you're also going to be very blind to the opportunities that present themselves to you. And because you're blind to the opportunities that present themselves to you, you're less likely to take them. But if you become optimistic and you practice reframing the way you think and start actually seeing things more objectively for what they really are, you're more likely to see these opportunities and take those opportunities. And if you become optimistic, yes, sure, there will be times when your assumptions are wrong. But because of the fact is you're not going to miss out on the opportunities that present themselves, you're going to end up with a much more enriched life and way more experience when it comes to improving your dating life. Way more, and I can promise you a far more enriched dating life. So guys, that is why it's so important to really try to reframe the way you're thinking, become aware of the fact that your pessimism is not helping you, it's not correct, you don't have a objective view of reality, okay? A lot of us like to think, oh, I'm just preparing myself for the worst. That is your ego talking. It is lying to you. That is not the case. All you're doing is suffering twice and causing yourself to have more anxiety than you already need to. And if you're a pessimist, you probably feel a lot of anxiety as it is. So it's time to start reframing, start practicing what I've taught you in this video, and I promise it will change your life and you will start seeing opportunities present themselves that you weren't seeing before. I promise you, it'll change your life. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you liked it, give us a like, subscribe, hit the notification button, leave us a comment. Seriously, every time you do any of these, it helps the algorithm and allows more people to be exposed to our content and have their lives enriched by our shit as well. So guys, if you're potentially looking for coaching as well, make sure to click the link in the description below, get on a 30-minute call with us and see if you're a good fit for one of our coaching programs. Anyways, guys, love you. See you in the next video.